Hello and welcome to the up-to-date demo of FexToolkit. Today is Friday, November 27th, so everything you'll see today is accurate as of today. We do continue to push and make improvements every day, and we will continue to re-record this video as we see fit. So firstly, what we'll take a look at is the settings page, which has been redesigned over the past few weeks. So you can see here the referral link, so you get a month free for every person you refer that successfully signs up and pays for the FexToolkit using your link. This is the FexToolkit Lite. So of course, if you want to use your individual link, paste it here. Gives you your own link here that you can run. We'll just run a quick quote with the Lite link here. Put in some basic information, and it returns a list of the company's logos and some of the basic accidental death. You can see if it's offered on that product, and push over to the e-app. So we did this so that you can have something to bookmark to just run a quick quote. You can share it with someone else, bookmark it on your phone. Might be a little bit quicker than using the app. So every user does get the link here. You also get it embeddable. So you can see here, this is the sample of what it would look like on your website if you were to embed it on. And all of our users have the ability to do that. It's just built into the software. Next, we'll take a look at the customization options. So we do have the telesales toggle here, which does filter down, for example, Assurant limits non-face-to-face sales to 15,000. Americo has a few excluded states if you're not in person. So we have the toggle there for agents who might be doing sales in a telesales format. For the purpose of this video, again, as of November 27th, these are all the carriers that we have in the software. Tomorrow, we are actually pushing Security National live, but for the purpose of this video, this should be sufficient. I will turn off Golden Solutions in your choice and just use Innovative Solutions for now because the underwriting is the same with all three American Amicables. They're just different rate packages. And we'll head over to the personal information. So this is my account here. So if you need to edit your name or email, you can, and you can change your password right on the website. And additionally, if you want to change your plan or details, you can do so right on the subscription page in your settings. All right. First, we're going to take a look at the drug lookup page. So this is a tool that we have where you can quickly look up a medication or combination of medications to see where you can place a client. So let's just say 01/01/1950 for the date of birth, and let's say they're taking Spiriva for COPD. Let's say it was prescribed back in, say, 2015, and they use it every day. And we see here the results of the companies here. So if you look at the question marks, this will actually tell you why. The reason for the coverage decision displayed is coming up. So it might help you learn the underwriting a little better or understand why the software is saying what it's saying. And we can go all the way down. We see the gradeds, the modifieds, the guaranteed issues, and the declines at the bottom. And we will then, let's add on another medication here. Let's say the client is taking lisinopril after a heart attack that they had. Let's say it was back in 2008, so quite a little while ago. And we'll hit next. And then it returns a list of companies based on the two medications. So I don't think the lisinopril changed anything here, but you can see you can add on as many companies as you need, and it will continue to display the companies that would take that client. We'll move on over to the health cheat sheet. So health cheat sheet is a way that you can quickly look up a condition or multiple conditions to see where you can place that client. So quickly we'll type in atrial fibrillation. You can see here list of companies that will take it and why. So if you can see Americo, it doesn't just tell you decline, it'll tell you if treated within 1 year decline. So it shows you the actual data for that client. Looks like I entered it twice there. And if we wanted to add on something else, let's say heart attack, it'll pop up the different companies here in alphabetical order with the reasoning as to why they take the client the way they do. And we tried to include everything we could on the health cheat sheets that you can see. For example, Transamerica, if the client was diagnosed with a heart attack prior to 45, it becomes graded. Another good example of this, we'll take a look at cancer. So you can see here it shows the reasoning, but some companies don't like if a prospect has had cancer more than once. a prospect has had the same type of cancer more than once, Mutual Omaha. So it'll show you all of that on the cheat sheet there. So everything relevant to that condition will always be displayed, which is just nice to have. Now we're going to take a look at the main part of the software, which is the quoter and underwriter. First thing you'll notice on this page is that we do have the toggle for the light version of the quoter, which removes the health and drug information input entirely if you just want to run a basic quote in that way. Go back over to full here. So even on the full, you don't need to enter the health and drug information. You can just enter the left side and the quote will return just the way you put it in. So we'll run one of those basic quotes first. Let's say we're looking for 10,000. Level coverage, Texas male, we'll say 1/1/1950, and 5'10", 180 pounds, pretty normal height weight. It's optional, of course, you don't need to enter height weight. Non-smoker and bank draft EFT. So if I hit get quote, we'll be returned with a list of companies here from the lowest rate at the bottom as we go up to the highest rate at the bottom here. So this is the level. So any preferred, immediate, standard level coverage will be displayed. And I'll point out a few different features. So you can see the star. So for the carriers that have the star, these are carriers that support Social Security billing, where your persistency might be a little bit higher if you do go with these carriers. You can head right over to the eApp on this section as well, and we'll look at the compare feature, our quote compare feature in a second here. We'll expand the menu so you can see accidental death, annual rate for carriers that offer limited pay, such as Sentinel. You can see that right here. You can also push a client right over to the CRM if you want to do so. But first, we are going to enter some basic health and drug information for this client. So let's say our client had cancer a number of years ago in the past. So let's type in cancer here, past cancer. Say their last treatment was back in 2015, so about 5 years ago. And we will hit next. And let's say the diagnosis was about 2 years before that, so 2013. And so what these are called fringe questions. So these are questions that are follow-ups to the initial time frame that you've put in. Because the entire premise of our software is we want to present you with as few initial selections as possible and then narrow things down as we go. Certain carriers will care about certain things, but there's no need for us to add in a ton of different indications for cancer when for most carriers they don't care about outside of basal cell skin cancer, they don't care about the type. So what we'll do here is we'll say ever had cancer more than once, recurrent cancer of the same type, metastatic cancer, leukemia, lymphoma, multiple myeloma. So all those questions were relevant in some way to at least one of the carriers that I have selected. And as I showed you before, I have all the carriers that we currently have in the software selected. So this allows you to expeditiously and more accurately select the exact ramifications or specifications of that of your client's condition so that you can underwrite them quickly. So let's say client takes spironolactone for high blood pressure. Been taking it for about 5 years, since 2015. And let's enter gabapentin. So the client says they take it for pain, very common nerve pain medication. And 2015 as well, about 5 years. And we'll enter metformin for diabetes. No complications. And let's say they've been taking this one for a while. So back in 2010 is when they started this medication, about 10 years ago. And you can see here the quoter will auto-add diabetic neuropathy in this instance. Now this is done in a limited amount of scenarios when the software might make you a suggestion just based on the information you've put in to help guide you in the right direction. Maybe you want to ask a follow-up question to this client. I actually had an instance about a year ago where I had a client who was taking Entresto, and he told me he was taking it for high blood pressure. So I pulled it up for you here. So Entresto is it's a heart failure medication. Of course, the client cannot be taking Entresto for high blood pressure. He might have high blood pressure, and he did, but the medication is for heart failure. So just so that you don't get duped by your client, we do add in some of these suggestions just to, again, make sure you're headed in the right direction. If we want to remove diabetic neuropathy, we can run the quote without it, but in this instance, we're going to leave it in and run the quote as we see it. One other thing I'll point out is that you see how the coverage type box has been grayed out. If I enter any drug and health information at all, it's not really going to matter what I put in for the coverage type since the software is going to be returning result for me. So that's important to remember as well. So we'll get quote here, and pretty quickly we are returned with our results again. So a few new things we'll look at here. So one is the red dot. So the red dot for carriers where the medication might trigger a referral to an underwriter. Another one that comes to mind, in addition to GCU, is Oxford that does this. So spironolactone with GCU may trigger, I think it's within 2 or 3 years. I can't remember which off the top of my head, but just to give you all the information we can. It won't change the result in those cases, but it will let you know, hey, if you can go with another carrier, maybe you want to do so. We're just trying to give you as much information as we can so that you can make the best determination for your client. And if we scroll down here, we'll point out a few other things. So we can see the commission cut indicator here again, where it tells you, on this product, your commission might be cut by up to a certain amount. See the plan info button again if you just want to refresh your memory or refresh the client's memory. Some of these products can be a little complicated with your different ROP and 30% year 1, 2, 3, all of that. And the Y button. So the Y button will actually tell you why a case is being returned the way it is by the software. So for Mutual Omaha, if they've ever been treated for diabetic neuropathy, that's going to be living promised rated. So it just helps you to, if you have to pivot, if you want a little bit more information of why the quote is returning the result that it is, it gives you that information there. And if we scroll down here, you can see if a carrier is excluded, it will tell you why, which again will help you become a better underwriter and really gain a better working knowledge of the underwriting yourself. So what we'll do, let's say for this client, we are going to go with Royal Neighbors. So let's hit the compare button, and it brings us over to our quote compare feature. So our quote compare feature is our point of sale tool. It's designed for an iPad or laptop if you're sitting with a client and you're about to quote them. Using the most common method is the bronze, silver, gold, as it's often called, the 1, 2, 3 method. So you can see all the information for our client was pushed over here. So we're looking at Royal Neighbors level, non-nicotine, birthdays pushed over, Texas mail. And we'll say we're looking at 10,000, 15,000, and 20,000. And here are our results. So option 1, 2, and 3. Now, in some cases, if you want to mix and match, let's say the client says, well, how much will $50 get me? So you can run that quote with a mix and match. You can look at the face amount. It doesn't look like we have a result of that range. Let's bump it up a little bit to 70. And it'll tell you the face amount based on the, round it off to the nearest dollar, so it did have to increase it by 3 cents, but based on the number that you put in. And like I showed you before, which actually is a pretty good example, if there is no premium amount available at that dollar range, it won't show you anything. Now, the main reason for this in this specific instance is Royal Neighbors, due to the coronavirus that is currently going on, has limited their minimum face amount to 7,000. So for this client who is 70 years old, there's not going to be a premium for him at the $50 range. So if there's no result available, it just won't show you one. Nice to know. So we're going to head over back to the quoter, which will lead us into our CRM. So let's say we wrote this client, got approved. We're going to push him over to our CRM. So let's name this person, let's say Reggie Washington, and 123 Main Street, and we'll say he's in Newark, New Jersey, and we'll say 484 123 48 is the phone number. And notes, client is healthy. Let's leave it at that. Hit save. And we'll head over to the last feature, which is our CRM. So the first thing I'll point out with the CRM is that we did build it completely off of our own code base. So as of the present moment, we don't use GoHigh, Level, or any other platform. We built this ourselves. So we really are relying on our user feedback and everything that you guys tell us to help us improve our CRM and what you guys want in the CRM. Now, this is version 1.0 of our CRM. We did just push it up yesterday. So we have a lot more to go. We have a lot more planned. But this is really the first iteration of what, really me as a final expense agent, what all of us as a team have kind of decided is most important for what people are looking for in their CRM. So we'll take a look at the clients here. So this is the dashboard, the main part of your CRM, where you can just take an overview. Your monthly, annual, quarterly sales statistics you can view here. If you have any calendar events scheduled, you can view them here. We'll take a look at the calendar in just a second. And if you want to set a reminder, let's say I need to call Reggie Washington back for whatever reason. So Reggie Washington, call. And we'll schedule this for Monday. Say we're calling him at 3 p.m. and remind me 10 minutes before. Hit save, and we have our reminder there to call Reggie Washington. So let's take a look at the CRM in a little bit more depth here. So if we had more clients, I only entered in a few different clients before we started this video just to show you here, but you can filter them by name, annual premium, product name, or disposition. Let's take a look at Mr. Washington here, and we will hit edit. So you can see the name, birthday, address, phone number, the date you added it, annual premium if you sold them, and the product name as well. Now I'm going to disposition him as sold because we did sell him. So we can hit done there, and it will add in that disposition. You can see if there's any future or past appointments with that client, his medical information here, and any notes. You can see I put in from earlier, client is healthy. Now, one interesting one I'll point out to you. Let's say Mr. Washington calls us up in 6 months. He says, "Hey, I want to get a little bit more coverage. What rate can I get for a little bit more coverage?" If you hit load quote file here, it'll actually load up the quote file exactly as we ran it at the time. So that, of course, you want to check in with him and say, "Hey, have you added any medications? Are you still taking all of these? Any changes?" But it allows you to very quickly pull up your client's information so that you don't have to go thumbing through different files and e-apps to see what that client was taking and what that client had at the time, if you even wrote that down at all. So all of the underwriting information does save right in the software, and you can even make medical notes if you want to do so. So we'll take a look at one other client here, which is, just pull up Mr. John Smith. So you can see for Mr. Smith, he had atrial fibrillation, also takes spironolactone. His basic information was here, plan rate preferred. Now for the dispositions, you can create your own labels. I only have a few different labels in my account here, interested, not interested, and sold. But you can create whatever you want, follow up if you want to do that. You can do so. Finally, we will head over to the calendar. So the calendar is where you can view any appointments you've scheduled. You can see here I scheduled a follow-up between 1 and 2 p.m. on tomorrow, November 28th at 1 p.m. For this Mr. John Smith. We can change the color of this event if we choose to do so. We can add a new event, delete the event. The calendar is just an easy way that you can schedule your different follow-ups, reminders, and appointments. So to kind of wrap things up here, again, this is software that we are working on every single day. We're pushing up all sorts of new features, literally every day, adding new carriers. So any feedback, any improvements that you guys think we should make, please do let us know. We really do take that very seriously. We value it very highly. As I mentioned, we are always available, even on the CRISP platform on our website. So if you want to chat with us live, we tend to reply under about 15, 16 minutes any time of the day. So I thank you guys for checking us out. And you can reach us on LinkedIn, Facebook, any form of social media. And we hope to talk to you soon.